Clerk, please call the roll.
Bill McGuire.
Here.
Holly Levine. Here. Mike Burns. Rick Flynn.
Here.
Bob McAfee. David Pyle.
Here.
Roger Spencer.
Here.
LaDonna Allen.
Here.
We all please stand and join me in our pledge of allegiance and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President, Eternal God, as we begin another session of the Carl Junction Board of Aldermen, we ask that you invest in this board your strength and wisdom to fortify us and guide us so that we may enhance the prosperity of our community and improve the quality of life for those you have entrusted us to serve. In your most holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Rick. Next is approval of the agenda. Are there any comments or corrections or additions to the agenda?
I'd like to move that we add a public forum or immediately after this, so 3A or however we want to do it.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn to put public forum after the approved agenda and discussion regarding the police department. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 5 in the, so that's 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. That is added to the agenda. Now, would anyone like to approve the agenda or add some more corrections?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by David Pyle, second by Holly Levine. We approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative. The agenda has been amended. Next on the agenda is public forum. I know you want to speak, so you got to listen to my soliloquy. All persons that wish to speak to the mayor and board of aldermen during the public comment portion of the meeting should come forward one at a time and stand at the podium. Then state your name and address and the subject matter you wish to comment upon. All comments should be directed to the mayor in a civil manner. Comments are limited to 5 minutes unless the mayor or board of aldermen grants additional time. It is the mayor's responsibility to make certain these rules are followed and to maintain order and decorum. If you have a question, the mayor and board of aldermen may, of course, provide an immediate response. However, the mayor and board of aldermen may also provide no response or response at a later time as they deem appropriate. Now, are there any comments?
My name is,
Can you go by the microphone so we can get it on tape to make sure that we have this for the public record? Can you put that some way so she can? You gonna be okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
my name is Doris McDaniel. I reside at 905 Sheridan here in Carl Junction. I've been a lifetime resident, and it has concerned me for quite some time that our leadership in this city has been neglectful of some of the things that should be concerning our citizens. I feel like that our current situation with our police department is of grave concern. And we have lost officers due to the low pay. And I also feel that some time back, monies were misappropriated and used for some of our upper leadership, and our law enforcement was hung out to dry. They don't have a living wage, which has resulted in some of these officers being necessary to seek other employment. Now, our coverage for the city is down. These officers are stretched to the very max. And I feel like that's not fair to our citizens. Any comments?
I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak at public forum?
Would you like to speak?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, good to see y'all. My name is Mark Gregg. I reside at 322 T Lane in Carl Junction. I haven't been quite a lifelong resident, but going back to about 1972, and had noticed back then that whenever 2 cop cars drove by. That was a green light for us to do burnouts down the street. So that being said, we seem to have about that kind of capacity now. That could cause a problem. And I think that was typically, down about 3,000 people back then. And I think we probably tripled that easily by now. You figure that the amount of police force that we have now is about similar to what we had back then. I don't think it's keeping up with the times or the amount of pay that these guys can get elsewhere is a little prohibitive to come to Carl Junction. And I've heard some of the comparisons for different precincts and what they can pay. So it's not exactly encouraging for them to come here. So I would consider, wherever the funds are coming from, either the use tax or the public taxes, where that could be converted and going into whatever general fund that is, to allow an increase. And it wouldn't have to be that great. There seems to be plenty of money for parks and sidewalks and things like that, in terms of hundreds of thousands of dollars, in terms of a $1,000 increase in at least for these fine folks in blue, wouldn't seem to be out of the ordinary. So I would consider, this my vote for obviously back in the blue. I doubt if this town is into the mood of defunding the police. I know there's appropriations for certain things, but I would certainly think there would be an allowance that would be commensurate to these other communities in here that would give us the finest and the best and the most appreciated law enforcement that we have around here. And they've done a good job with what they have. Praise God. But there's many hands make light work, so I would assume that you guys would believe in that too. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mark. You want to comment?
Well.
I mean, we can.
When we get started.
We can,
the kids
yeah,
will
we can
start.
cut her that. Yes.
I'm Shelley Albright, and I live at 222 Fairway Drive. And I just basically want to reiterate what the other two have said. It's very disappointing to be part of a community that I have been part of since the 2nd grade, and to see how far we've fallen whenever it comes to our law enforcement. I personally know several of the officers that have left, and the fact that we're a community this size and we basically have 3 patrol officers to take care of our community and keep us safe is, in my opinion, negligent, and it's scary. That for not only us as a community, but for our officers. I mean, what are we supposed to do if there was some, major situation and 2 of the officers have to respond to that? And is there even anyone else available? I could talk a lot about where funding could come from, but that would take a lot more than the 5 minutes that I've been allotted. But I just want to say that it's very disappointing. I hope that we as a community can trust our leaders to make the right choice and providing a living wage for these people that put their lives on the line for people that they don't even know every day.
I'll give you more time to talk about where funding can come from.
Oh, no, that's all right.
No, really?
I'll be
Really?
happy to
Because that's what we're trying to find out too.
Well,
And just to address like what Mark said too, you talk about the parks and stuff like that. We do have a sales tax that's 0.5%. It has to go to parks because that's the way it was passed. We can't take money from it was supposed to go to parks and streets and pay the police, unfortunately. We did pass a sales tax for the police department, and that money is going 100% to the police department. But unfortunately, the way everything has gone in the last 2 years with inflation going up and stuff, and the Hancock Amendment that Missouri has, it handcuffs us. It handcuffs cities. We tried to have a use tax. We put it on the ballot 4 times, and the city residents here of the city have turned it down every single time. You want to go ahead?
Is it possible that we could find out why they're turning it down? Because the information that I hear is because there are certain members of the leadership community that make more than they should, that we're heavy on leaders and low on, community support. We're low on officers whenever we have community leaders that may not really even need to be here. And that community leaders were given raises whenever our officers weren't.
That's not.
That's not true.
It's not true
Okay,
at all.
so why is this information what everyone else has been given? Why is every single person saying that that's true?
Every single person isn't.
Okay, where can I find out?
You
what-
can
what
come,
are the
you can
answers?
come in at any
Public
time.
record.
Okay.
It's public record. You can get the
Where can
budget.
I find that information online?
We should have the budget on the website, correct?
Okay.
On the website. A couple of things on the budget, just so people know. Like the mayor pointed out, we have funds that are earmarked. We can't shift them around. The only one we can shift around is general fund. Okay? What you might not realize is we all back the police. And there's social media rumor mill is ridiculous. But we have a police budget of 1.3 million. Okay. That is over twice what we collect in property tax. So 1.3 million goes for police budget. And of that, 1.1 million comes out of general fund, which is the only place we can fund it. We did get the public safety tax passed. We've budgeted $165,000. Anything we get over that goes to the PD. We, contrary to popular belief, did not vote ourselves in raises. You hear all this stuff, how, well, the aldermen gave themselves raises and we'll give them, no. It's what, 20-some, 30 years? No, that's not accurate. Now, there are funding mechanisms. Like I said, one would be the use tax. But the reasons you gave are not accurate. Okay, and when we did give the PD, when we gave raises the last time, the PD also got raises.
And when was that they received raises?
We can go back and pull it. What was 2 years ago? Like, so every year there are cost of living increases. There were substantial raises, and I'm not saying they don't deserve more or we won't work on it, but we're gonna have that discussion. But we are right now in the middle of budgeting meetings. They are public. Nobody will come to them. But people sit and talk like things are facts. All of the facts are actually open record. And we have these budget meetings. In fact, we're meeting tomorrow at 4:15. The public is encouraged to come to them, not just welcome, you're encouraged.
So encouraged, like we were encouraged to come to the next meeting that no one was notified about?
It was on the website.
Right, but it's an off cycle meeting, so
And
unless
it's-
we're looking at the website on a daily basis, no one would have been notified. of
Well,
this.
How would we contact you?
suggest?
I don't have.
Should we call you?
that. No.
I mean, that's the problem.
Maybe
What?
put on-
It should be advertised.
It was on the
It is
website
advertised.
and it was posted
On
out.
a
There's-
single website. I dispute that.
We only
Then how do you want to
have,
advertise it?
we have
on
one
the
website.
Carl Junction community page, the Facebook page would have been great.
On the Carl Junction City
On
page?
on the Carl Junction connection page?
No, we don't have anything to do with Connection page. That's not an
what I'm saying.
official
If it would
site.
have been posted on that, that would have been fantastic.
If you want, anybody is welcome to do that, but that's not going to be a part of the city record.
And as far as people attending budget meetings,
Mhm.
are they ever, the information put out there to the citizenry?
It is in the minutes of every regular meeting when we schedule them, and it's also posted on the website and it's posted out in the lobby.
I
And I know, as budget chair, probably for a month leading up to starting every meeting I talk about, we're going to be going into budget cycle. Who's got what dates? Let's schedule it. It lasts about 5-6 weeks, every week.
And you speak of the budget, and it sounds to be a rather large budget.
Mhm.
However, it's not trickling down to our officers.
There is only so much. It's 1.3 million. We work with the chief and we budget. What you don't realize, we have several open positions budgeted.
I
So
understand that,
we
but
have
who
to
wants
budget.
come here when the wages are so low?
Well, we'll get into that as we're discussing it, because there was really bad information. I don't know who put it out, but there was really, really bad information about the starting pay.
What is the starting pay if you could?
Well, we're gonna, if you're done with public forum,
Yeah, anyone
We
else
can't
want
do
to
the back
speak in
and
public forum? Gonna speak in public? Come on. Then we'll get into this.
yeah, we'll get into
Discussion,
all
we
the
can talk to police
information, but we can't back and forth.
My name's Joel Ford, I own Joel's Automotive, and I live in Carl Junction. I don't know any of the finances or the facts, but I want to tell you my facts. About 4 weeks ago, I got a call from 2 women who dropped a car off at my shop, informing me that it was a tweaker out in the parking lot, and he was out of his mind. So I go to the shop early, get there, call CJPD, tell them you guys want to get somebody rolling this way before it came out. I was told there's one cop on duty, they're at the school, they can send nobody. So I had to deal with it myself, which I don't mind dealing with it, and I did, I handled it. About 30 minutes later, Jasper County showed up, arrested the guy, he was drugs on him, people's mail from the neighborhood. Like I said, I don't know the answers, but I can tell you what I see in the corner where I'm at, the amount of hoodlums that are coming into this area is getting larger. I've had to deal with a lot of drama up there. I know that a friend of mine owns a restaurant right there. She's had to deal with it too. We deal with it the best we can. I know the cops are working hard, but you got to try to figure it out. But I'm telling you that there's a big problem coming. My fear, I have some mom, single lady, somebody dropped their car off 7 o'clock in the morning, and the wrong dude's out there. And it's going to bleed into the neighborhoods. Everybody knows I'm not a fan of this frisbee golf because it brings in 1,000 people from every other area but ours walking through our neighborhoods. I know I had to give all my guys pay raises without raising my labor rates to keep good employees. So like I said, I don't know the answers, but there is a huge problem coming real soon if we don't figure it out. Like I said, I had to deal with the tweaker dude, got him out of there. My fear is if I have to keep dealing with him, something bad may go wrong, and then I'm the one in trouble, or he's in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I did my dude. I called CJPD. I informed them. My biggest fear is some sweet ladies drop their car off in the morning, drop their keys in the key box. The wrong dudes are out there. We've had drug addict after drug addict after drug addict in that facility behind the car wash, breaking into the RVs, needles. There's a lot going on, and I don't know. Like I said, don't know the answers. But there's big problems coming if we don't figure it out. And I just don't want to get myself in a bad spot. I don't want my customers get in a bad spot. So I just want to let you guys know that there is real issues out there that are really coming into our neighborhoods.
That's why we're having this meeting.
Just want to make sure I got that off my chest and we all understand it. So, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joel.
I'd like to quickly follow up with what Joel said. I'm his friend that owns the restaurant.
You admit that?
I'm Christine Tella, and I own Bailey's. I just want to tell a couple quick little things. My husband went to work a few months ago, and he unlocked our storage shed, went into the restaurant, came back out into the storage shed, and there was a man in there, and he had a duffel bag. My husband asked him to get out. He didn't want to get out. Thank goodness he did get out. And our police were out looking for him. They got him. But he had a gun. I believe he had multiple guns. He had a knife. It could have been really bad. It is getting bad. It's a whole lot different. I bought the restaurant 4 years ago. And now we walk the girls out to the cars. We never used to do that. You didn't even really think about it. Although we probably always should, but you do see a big difference. Our alarm went off again a few months ago. We've had a lot of problems over here. My husband and I just lived out here, so we headed towards the restaurant while the alarm was going off. The door was open, and I was on the phone to 911. There was a police officer there. I believe it was Officer Johnson. Our police officers are awesome, but he was in there by himself. And I'm also the mom of a police officer, and that scared me for him. I want my son to come home alive and save everybody. and clearing a whole restaurant by yourself. I didn't feel safe, and I don't wanna say it was Jensen for sure, cause I don't really remember, but he was by himself, there was nobody else on that night. It was a Saturday night. Whatever we can do to hire some more police officers, to make it more attractive for them to come in. We're all willing to do what we need to do. Just let us know what we need to do to make it more attractive to come in here. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Anything else?
My name's Chris McDaniel. I live here in Carl Junction at 905 Larson, across from the high school. Lifetime resident. I would hope, and you mentioned about a use tax that's been turned down 4 times. That's a message to the city. Nobody wants any more taxes. There isn't a city or town in this country that wants any more taxes. This town is completely funded, probably 95% of the taxes that come in this town are off the backs of the citizens off our property taxes.
Yep.
We're beholden, a lot of that chunk that goes to the school.
Yep.
But these taxes, it's bad enough when you go to the DMV and you want to renew your tags and whatever, you go there and they go, ooh, Carl Junction, because we have one of the highest tax rates around there. This town is not business friendly to bring in more community businesses into this town. We are one of the larger communities in the county. We have the least amount of business of any county, even remotely near our size. We're not business friendly to grow that. When you grow businesses in this town, there is a sales tax base that is not beholden to just the citizens of Carl Junction to fund this. i.e. Webb City, Joplin, Carthage, any of those other cities. Every time you go there and you shop, those taxes go to that city. Anybody else that comes from outside that town, if they shop, the taxes go to that city. We don't have a tax base in this town. We're not business friendly. We're not recruiting new businesses. The few new businesses that have come in this town were created purely on their own. The new lily pad, that was a local customer or local people live here in town. They decided they want to start a business. They got with people that own those buildings. Leased it. The gym, the guy that owns that property, he sought a new tenant for his own building. Me, Torita, was not recruited by this town. It was recruited by other citizens that live here that are friends of that restaurant that owns that restaurant. There's nothing new coming in this town. Why? How are we business friendly? We don't have hardly any commercial property available. We're not recruiting businesses to come to this town that could fund anything else. More taxes are not the answer. Putting it on the ballot. Every time we put a new tax out, it gets rejected because nobody wants to pay any more taxes. We are beholden to one of the highest tax rates around here. So, by mentioning that it's been turned down, yeah, we're going to turn down every tax that comes available because we are taxed to death in this town.
But it's not the city that's taxing you to death.
We have the school.
That school is not part of the city.
But it is also part of our property taxes. So every time you go
I
to that
understand
well, and everything that we want to build, every time so have we not put on the ballot about creating new baseball fields in this town? Because you want to raise the tax for that, it's been turned down.
How would you build it without paying for it?
Do what?
How would you build it without paying for it?
We can't increase, how many times are you going to go to that well? We want to raise the tax, vote on a tax, vote on a tax, vote on a tax, vote on. Is there any city that you can think of that people are going and going, sure, tax me more, go ahead, I'm going to give you, tax me some more.
We are the only community around that doesn't have these.
And everybody turns down taxes in all the other communities.
No, every other.
Every other town has it now.
The use tax.
I'm
And
not talking about the use tax, I'm
Okay.
talking about we can't go to the well. So if you want to create another tax separate from that, because I think that's where this is going. To create, hey, we want to propose another new tax for the police department or public safety in this town. It's got to get voted down. People are taxed to death.
what you need to understand is we are working on business. Do you follow, and I'm not being facetious, do you follow
I'm
what?
friends with a lot of the business owners here in town. Very
Okay.
close.
I'll tell you what,
What I'm asking
Holly's
is-
got a committee now. We're paying a consulting firm to come in here, try and get business for us. I'd like you to be on that committee.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you need to be on that committee. Give us your ideas on how we can get more businesses in here.
How are we going to grow these? I mean,
That's
if
what-
you're on the committee.
We are off the
We are
beaten
working.
path. That's the
So
problem.
we're at the point of disparity that, oh crap, now we need to create businesses.
No,
So
we're
how many years down the road?
We're working with retail strategies on a 3-year,
Man, I'm 45 years old. I haven't seen any more new business in this town since I was born.
okay.
One of our largest
There have been.
commercial properties in this town was the grocery store.
Uh-huh.
Grocery store moved out. Now you can't control on who owns that business. They can lease it, sell it to whoever they want.
Yeah.
They sold it to a guy that keeps probably $1 million worth of merchandise in that town, that he takes the merchandise out of that building and sells it outside the city limits.
Okay, so,
Get no tax.
so where we're at, we've contracted, we've got a committee that has been working, we're working behind the scenes. It's a twofold approach. We are working on bringing business in, but even if somebody said they wanted to bring a business in tonight, if new construction, it'd probably be 2 years.
Okay.
We're working on that.
That's my point.
But-
I said we're behind the 8 ball here.
Okay, so all the people that are saying that, we get all kinds of comments from everybody, business
You
owners.
keep saying all the people. It sounds like we have another problem, which is a PR problem.
Okay.
In the city.
What I'm saying is, we hear this from a lot of people, and a lot of them are business owners. But they don't own their business in Carl Junction.
No.
Why?
What's the draw here? Why are we?
So-
How are we business friendly? How can we?
So are you
What do you
saying,
mean by business friendly? What should we do?
What is the recruitment to get businesses to come to this town?
Well, you need to
We
have
just said.
property for put a business in.
yeah, and we
We
don't
don't have any
own
property.
the property.
That's what I just said. We don't have. There's not even any zoned commercial property in this town.
Yeah, there is.
Yes, there is.
We have a few lots. They're private owned. They're sitting vacant.
Well,
They're sitting
Who's,
idle.
who's gonna own them if they're not privately owned?
That's what I'm saying. They're sitting idle. They have where the old car wash was. We have a company that owns that. They plan on doing nothing with that. We have
We
the
can't
CJ
force it.
Lumberyard. It's sitting idle. That owner has no plans on doing anything with it. Where's any other commercial property in this town?
Just east of Casey's.
What's going on with those?
All along.
The
This
guy,
is
the
sitting
guy,
for
the guy that
all
owns that wants to put in storage units.
And speaking of storage units, we have 2 more storage units going on right outside the city limits because it's, wow. The tax basis goes right outside the city limits again.
That wouldn't get us any tax base.
That doesn't get us any revenue.
Okay, well then you just said you want a new,
No,
storage
he's-
unit.
No, I don't say
That's
that.
not
No,
gonna bring
I
the
don't
tax
want that. I said that's what the guy
That's
wants to do.
what's going-
We'd love to have some retail businesses in there,
So,
but he doesn't want to put that in there. He wants storage units in there.
and if they're private owners, what I would suggest is if you know the owners, encourage them to develop it or encourage them to get with the Economic Development Committee, give them the information, and the chair can pass it along to the consultants that are
So
working.
how is it that the Chamber of Commerce's and the cities of the neighboring and communities of our community have continuous business growth?
Because they have highway frontage.
Because they have people working on it.
Okay, would you like, you've been offered, would you
Yeah,
like to
I
volunteer?
need to get on the, you get on the committee.
They're
That's what-
citizens,
but that's not your answer to them.
no, they're
If you're
citizens.
mad about it, then get on the committee. What else is the city
No,
doing
they're
to create
citizens,
businesses?
they're citizen members. We need members. Will you serve?
How's your committee ran? What's your time frame? When's your meetings?
Hi.
How-
My
She'll
name's Holly.
let you know.
So I joined the council about a year and a half ago. I'm just like you. I live in your neighborhood. I live in Deerfield. I'm just trying to do the best thing I can for the city here. I started the Economic Development Committee because I, like you, see that we don't have any businesses in town.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know that most of your city funding comes from sales tax, like you were saying. So right now, we don't have a grocery store in town. We don't have, we've got a pharmacy, we've got a couple things, but we don't have the things that people need every day. So when you go to the grocery store, you go to Airport Drive. So they get all those tax.
Airport Drive has left us behind.
So Airport Drive is a town of 700 people, and they get all of Carl Junction's tax revenue. All of our tax revenue goes over there. So what can we do?
Our city
the
services
boundary
provide
lines.
everything for Airport Drive.
Right, we provide sewer for them.
Fire
We
protection.
Not
pay
water.
for water. We don't
And-
provide
and the
sewer.
Fire department is not
protection
part of the
is
city.
separate. We contract with them for sewer.
We
They
are
are,
left behind by a community of 700 people.
that's on the.
That's
border.
on two, it's on two
Two
highways,
state highways.
two state highways.
They don't even go out and look for business.
No, they don't have to.
Right.
That's because they're on the beaten path.
We're not getting left behind because they're big marketing geniuses. We have no highway frontage.
They're marketing geniuses.
No,
They're
they
not.
don't market anything. It falls into their lap because they are on two state highways. We don't have highway frontage. I wish we did. If somebody wants to buy some land on 171 and where they can annex in,
The property on 171, again, is county property. The
It
only thing
can-
we have is the
it
highway.
can be annexed in.
What's the city looking at possibilities of that?
We don't own it.
No, what is the city annexing?
We
You don't
can't,
have to own the property.
Yes,
to annex.
yes,
You do.
you do.
The city that, when you get with the people that own those properties, and you can
Okay,
approach them, how would you like to join and come into the city?
We've
Okay,
tried.
wait a minute.
They don't
Right,
wanna do
hold,
it
hold
because
it,
of
hold it,
taxes.
hold it right there. Say you own the property outside the city limits. Somebody comes to you and says, would you annex in, and you say no.
Yeah, you're left, but the reason, you know, the
Okay,
reason why
that's
they
just
say
what
they don't
we're
wanna do
facing
it,
right now.
But the reason why they don't wanna do it, why would I wanna be annexed in and be taxed?
Exactly.
Right.
so I think we've gotten off
We've
of what,
steered way.
yeah, way off of what you started off
It's
with.
because it's become a tit for tat conversation.
Well, here's what we're not doing that because we got like 5 minutes. But the problem is, you've already said no use tax, that we did have grocery stores and stuff. They left because people didn't support them. And it was sad because I would go every Wednesday when the ad came out. If you are bound and determined that you don't want to do a use tax, that's fine. It's up to the voters. But if not, then they're going to have to understand we have funding constraints. And like I said, we are giving twice what we collect in property tax to the PD. We are not skimping. We're not holding back. We're not getting rich. None of us are patting our pockets. All the figures are there. You can come in and get them. You can go online and look at them. We've got to come up with solutions. But saying that nobody's going to have business and that the fire department this and that all of that's not accurate. So we've got to talk in facts. We don't provide water. We don't provide fire. We contract and they pay well for their sewer. That helps us run the sewer
They're
system.
not part of the Carl Junction Fire District.
Yes.
Yes, that's not part of the
We are
city.
not Carl Junction Fire District.
No,
They are completely
they're
separate.
completely independent from us.
That's why you see on your tax bill, you see the CJFPD. That's Carl Junction Fire Protection. We don't do special roads. All we have, about 16% of your taxes actually go to your city.
I just want to say, I've got the budget right here. So what we collect in taxes each year, and this year we're at $460,000. That's what we collect from the property taxes. So our police budget is 1.3 million. So that's well above that. So all of that goes to the police, plus I've got the budget right here. Anybody is welcome to look at this. This is completely public, transparent. I'd be happy to go over it with anybody. I mean, it's tight, And
I understand.
and I'm happy to share. I make $25 per meeting, so I make about $50 to $75 a month doing this.
I know.
So basically, a
That's not my
volunteer
cousin's
position.
job. That doesn't pay
The
for
mayor-
anything I'm concerned about.
The mayor makes $9,000 a year. None of us up here are patting our pockets. We're citizens up here trying to do the best we can with what we have for the people.
I understand. What I was talking about was our tax basis in this town. We're being left behind by every community in the county.
And we are working on that.
And that's another, the housing basis in this town continues to grow.
And it's the
You need to
population
look at
growth,
the
we need
Hancock
businesses
Amendment.
to support that.
Yeah.
You don't understand about the housing thing either. The city, the
I'm
county,
saying our tax basis on property taxes.
I'm saying though, the state told us we had to lower our tax rate because we were growing too fast.
As we grow, the state lowers our levy.
Yes.
So our
So it stays
population is
flat.
going up, but the money stays exactly the same.
Yeah.
Last year,
It went up $1,600.
Yeah, last year in 2020
$1,600.
yeah, in 2023, Consumer Price Index, and this comes out, the state sends us this form. In 2023, our Consumer Price Index went up 6.5%. Our property tax went up 1/4 of 1%. So from 2023 to 2024, we have a whopping $1,750 more, even though we've got all that new residential construction that we have to maintain
My
the
property
streets and
taxes
everything.
just on my home alone went up an extra $300 this year.
It didn't.
Not from the city. Not from the
Look and
city.
see
They
where
didn't.
it
That's what my basis, I'm saying,
Right.
if you want to increase the tax and you have somebody like me going, I'm already
Right.
being taxed.
That's the
It doesn't
problem.
matter where it's
That's
going.
right.
And that's the problem, because we can't get services we need, because everybody just goes, oh, look at all these taxes. They don't look at how they break
We
even.
look at the bottom line as communities, as
Yeah.
citizens of this community going, here's what I'm being taxed.
Right.
You want to
But
go to
when,
the well, you want to add more tax.
But
I
when
can't
you
afford to
do
give
that-
you anymore. Doesn't matter what it's allotted for, what it's going to.
well, then when you do that, then keep in mind, when you gripe about streets, or you gripe about PD, or you gripe about anything else, there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, if you're gonna look and say it's all bottom line, then that's the
What it
bottom line.
comes down to is sales tax revenue. And that is the difference between the closest community in our size around here is Webb City. They outnumber probably about another 2,000 people.
No, they're
About
double.
that.
They're double in
Oh,
size.
yeah.
They're double in
They
size.
have a large tax, very large tax.
And
Sales
they have,
tax revenue.
and they have a use
I
tax
know
that brings them in $1 million.
Certainly.
They have
all
they have
those
a use
stores
tax that
around
gets them
their
$1 million extra.
They have-
All the cities around are,
Have use
has
tax.
use tax.
That's what
We
I'm
voted
getting at.
it down.
The use tax, okay, if we had a use tax in this town, how much difference would it make that between $400,000? So we're gonna pull in an extra $1 million.
We're gonna get about 600,000, hopefully,
Okay.
off of the numbers we have.
So
Now,
we're
what
still in
happens?
arrears.
Let me tell you how it works. Okay, and I'm not trying to mansplain, whatever. The police and like any other department set their budget on what they need for personnel, what they need for equipment. They set a budget. Then, if we had the use tax, we would set the budget. We would apply the public safety sales tax, which we're budgeting around 165. We hope it's more. We would put that in. Then anything that came in use tax gets plugged in. Then any gap that we still need to fund comes from general fund. But that allows them to better fund the PD because you have that much that you can work on from use tax. So that's why we put it on the ballot so you guys can all decide.
And if you don't buy online, you don't pay any tax.
But turn down 4 times.
Yeah, if you don't buy online, you don't pay tax.
If you want to turn it down again, that's
You
fine.
can go over and pay
But
the
we're going to
tax
have
and
the same
airport driver
discussion.
drop them.
But what I'm saying is
So,
proposing a new tax, the citizens obviously, but it's more than obvious. I mean, it's slapping in the face obvious. We don't want any more taxes in this town.
I mean,
But they want more
definitely
services.
understand that.
All right.
I mean,
How
I
do
don't
we-
think they want
There has to
taxes
be
either.
a basis in order to
Right.
not fund the entire town on the backs,
uh-huh.
strictly on the backs.
So are you,
People live here.
so Holly kind of gave you a little overview.
Yeah.
You want to get on that committee? Should we get your information?
I can, of course, speak to her about that.
Okay.
We'd love to have you do that.
And I also do want to add, like we're in this budget and we're in the thick of it trying to figure out where can we get this money. We support the police. Like I want to pay all the police officers, $50,000 a year, give them the cars they want, the radios they want, the cell phones they want. I want to give them everything. And I am doing my best to nail
Because
this
as you
down
know, I
and try to
mean,
give them raises.
we've had people talking about different areas of crime. Even our neighborhood has a fair amount of breaking in cars, property theft, and stuff that's going on.
And I just want that to be clear that nobody up here wants to pay the police less, wants them to struggle and not be able to pay their bills, all that. We want to pay them more. But, we're gonna do as much of a raise as we can. It's just the numbers aren't there.
And even recruitment numbers aren't there. There's departments that are paying what we're proposing, trying to get to, that can't staff. So even if we
So
said,
we're having a harder problem in this community based on the size of our department in relative speaking to
how many,
what the other departments
I was gonna
are.
say, how many chiefs have you talked to? It's across the board.
I'm fully aware of that.
So it's not just us. We're gonna try to get it up there, but like I say, even if you look at the academy, unless you pay their way through, there's slim pickings at the
So
kid.
there's roughly 9,000 people live in Carlton.
It's about 85.
I'm not gonna split hairs with you. The communities of Orinoco, Alza, they have more officers than we have. They pay more than we pay. They are a fraction of the size of this town.
Steve, do you have all that stuff with you?
I did not pull up some of them around here, but what I pulled up was communities that have about the same size budget as we did, regardless of their size. because the size of the city is really dictated by national standards on the size of people, the number of people we have. To be a fully funded police department for 8,500 people, I believe it's the FBI, but I'm not sure about that. They say that we should have a staff of somewhere between 15 and 20 officers. And right now, we don't have that. We've never had one that large, that's for sure. So community is the same size as, budget-wise as us, regardless of their population. They are paying their starting officers anywhere from $17.50 up to about $23.50 an hour. And we are at the absolute bottom end of that. And it is serious enough now that I worry about it every day, and that is the safety of our officers. Regardless of what the numbers say or what the budget says, that is my biggest concern, because I don't want, like what happened to Christine, one officer to clear a building with no backup. That is not good. That's not safe. It's irresponsible of us to be that way. So we are absolutely going to have to bring that starting wage up.
But we do not have any officers that work full-time when we did the increases that make that bottom.
No, we do not. We don't have any.
We don't have any officers making that.
See, I'm a graduate of the criminal justice department in Missouri Southern.
Are you
4 criminal
post-certified?
justice degrees, no, I'm not.
Darn it.
And of the people I know in the department, when they talk about recruitment to community police departments around here, because we've had discussions, they said they can't push graduates of the academy. They can't only recommend to come to Carl Junction because they know that they can make more money elsewhere. That's a problem. One of the best state academies is right here in our back door, and they're not even recommending the city of Carl Junction.
Who are you talking to there?
Instructors there.
All the instructors?
No, just a couple of instructors I still know.
Well, because I'm just saying, maybe that's something we need to talk. We need to talk with them and see.
Yep. Okay, we need to move on. You expended your 5 minutes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Come on,
So
Joel.
Basically, if the use tax doesn't pass, we're in trouble.
Well, we have
Is
some
that about-
ideas, but
We'll have to change some services.
They're pretty limited. Our options are pretty limited going forward if without this use tax.
without, we'll have to.
Basically. And who knows, and you get the use tax in, and who knows, in 5 years, maybe in the same boat again.
I don't, what is the use tax gonna be on, what's it tax, what's that?
Online purchases.
Internet sales.
Like Amazon
Oh,
delivery.
that's it?
That's it.
That's it.
It's
That's all
only,
it is.
see, people don't understand that either. We had a bunch of
It's not
people.
on my property, it's not.
No,
They said
no.
if I buy something online, I gotta
If you
pay
buy
tax.
something online,
I'm going to-
If you got property and you want to sell it and you go outside the city to sell it, we don't have the tax here. But the other city does have. You have to pay that tax where they don't have to pay it here.
Like if you order,
purchases only.
internet purchases only. That's it.
it's the state mandates how we can put it. Like if you buy something online,
Yeah, everybody's already doing that.
right? If you buy on Amazon, you pay 0 sales taxes that stay here. But you can get in a van and drive all the way to Sam's and buy the same thing and pay 10% to Joplin, and nobody thinks anything about it.
Right.
If they would, and I get it, it's convenience, it's cheaper, everything else, but it's 3 cents.
Yeah,
7
I
cents.
probably word that a little different when it goes on the ballot.
We can't.
Can't.
The state
No.
requires you to put it the way it is.
They,
Put a big ass billboard somewhere in town.
well,
We have a group that,
Be my
a group
guest.
that's not supported by the city whatsoever, that hopefully is gonna put out some signs to try and explain that.
yeah,
And
because
that's
we
what I wanna do.
can't.
But
We
need
can't do it.
your
We
help
cannot
I'll
do
tell
it.
you right now,
We
if
can't
I sat
lobby
down
for
on-
it. We
if
can't
I sat
lobby
down and
against
voted
it.
and said a use tax, and I'm thinking, depends on that, I'm taxed enough.
That's what everybody's
That's it.
saying.
They know it.
If it's something I'm buying online, this is part of life. You gotta pay taxes.
That's right. It's
We-
like, it'd be the same tax rate if you went to Walmart and bought it, or if you bought it online. You're gonna pay the same tax if
And
we
it
pass the
stays
use
Now,
tax.
is this a temporary fix or a long-term?
It would be long-term. They don't sunset them.
No, they do not.
No,
It would be long-term, but like I said, all of the business Web City has, their voters passed it, and they make over $1 million extra just in the use tax for the online sales.
And then is all that money supposed to go to the police department? How
It's
do they get
all of this is earmarked. We can't put it on the ballot, but we did pass a resolution,
An ordinance.
ordinance. We passed a ordinance stating that our intent is for that to go to public safety. Now, you may get councils later down the road, but the intent of this, and that's why we put it in writing, so everybody would see that use tax goes for public safety.
yeah, everybody on this council agrees. That's 100% is gonna go to the police
But
department.
I mean, and I'm not being an asshole. We got plenty of basketball courts and other parks, and it won't be for that stuff.
No,
Now
no,
you're gonna all of a sudden end up with the baseball funding, right?
no.
Oh,
That's why we have
Just saying.
we have a park tax that has to stay in parks. And when people go, why didn't you give the police a raise and you built a park? Because we couldn't give them a raise with that money.
You know, we are so generous that we got our good fellow citizens in Joplin and Webb City and wherever that will buy stuff over the internet and ship it into Carl Junction so they don't have to pay that.
They have it delivered to their friend's
They have to
house
deliver to their friend's house in town.
because they know we don't have it.
And then we get all the trucks in town that tear up the roads. We gotta do the roads.
When's this vote?
April.
First
April?
Tuesday in April.
April
April
3rd.
7th.
Yeah, I would find somebody that really.
If you can spread the word, because like I say, all we can do is give you the facts on why the budget needs it and what it will be used for.
But most people really do misunderstand it.
Yeah, the wording is horrible.
It is.
We had probably 5-6 informational meetings last time, all over town, different places. We had a total of 3 people show up to all of them.
We had one at Bailey's and nobody
Yeah.
showed up.
Nobody showed up.
We,
I know.
we ended up having one person, Christina.
Oh, do we? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
We can do
We
that
had a
again.
great meal though.
yeah, great meal.
It was you were the one.
We were here. Us and Macker.
All right, is everybody done with public forums? We can move on to talking about the police department. Okay, if so, we're gonna move on. We're gonna have a discussion regarding the police department now. Not that we haven't had one already. Okay, you want to take it, LaDonna, you're in budget,
Oh.
or
okay.
Steve, you want to talk about it?
You want me to start or you?
Either way, if you want to start and then.
Okay, I had a meeting with the PD this afternoon with our officers and the chief. Very, very glad that we had that meeting and the officers had a couple of things that they're really passionate about. One of them, the very first thing is that I took from it is our officers are very loyal. To a fault, probably, but very, very loyal. And I'm very thankful for that. They take ownership in this town, and that's even evident by public comments also. The other is they are concerned and scared for their safety.
As well they should be.
And these guys are doing things because they have to, and they're dangerous. We don't want an officer clearing a restaurant by himself. We don't want an officer having to kick in a door for a domestic disturbance by himself. And you guys know all of that. I'm not telling you anything new. So what we have to do is we have to find some way to pay them better, to pay recruits better, so we have a twofold problem. One is retention and one is recruitment. As we know, out at the academy, where you used to have a class of 20 or 25 going through the academy, you might be down to 5 to 10 people going through the academy. And those 5 to 10 are already spoken for by other departments because they will pay their way through the academy, that type of thing, and they'll get a contract signed with that person to be an employee for so many years. Everybody is doing that type of thing. Now, it is about 10 grand to go through the academy. So I think it is on us. However we have to do it is we have to fund it correctly. And I don't mean just throw money at it. I mean, we need to look for the right people to fill the jobs, and we need to make sure that they fit into us. If we can keep them around for 3 or 4 years, if they're a brand new officer, if we can keep them around for 3 or 4 years to where they learn and they get a better knowledge, and then they might go off someplace. And you know what? Other agencies are poaching off of us, and other agencies are poaching off of other agencies. There's a huge amount of that going on. We've lost 3 officers to Newton County. And over the years, I have no idea how many officers we've lost to Jasper County. We've lost them to Webb City. We lose them to Joplin. That's the type of business it is. You're going to have that no matter what. But we have to keep them as long as we can on our retention side, and we have to make it not only worth their while, we have to make it worth the citizens' while. So we need to do something. The use tax is a long-term fix. If it brings in $500,000 or $600,000 a year, that makes raises sustainable for long term. If that doesn't pass, we're going to have to start losing services. We're going to have to start doing things that the citizens take advantage of. We can't use the money from the water system. The state tells us that we have to use that for the water system. Same as the sewer system. Same as the street tax. Same as the transportation tax. That stuff stays right where we get it, and that's where we leave it. The use tax, and because you guys have stepped up to that, is designated for the PD. So that would not only make it a long-term fix, it's going to make it sustainable. Are we going to have problems down the road? Absolutely. I'm not that blind. We know that the cost of a patrol vehicle, fully outfitted, used to be $35,000. Now it's closer to $70,000. We got officers that, even though we've given them 3%, 4%, whatever percentage raises over the years, we know that we're not keeping up with the cost of living. If it wasn't for the loyalty in our officers, they would not still be here. They feel like it is not a lost cause. But because we have a problem now and we're aware of that problem, we've got to do something about it. There is no doubt. So I implore on you guys, individually, and even on the public, we've got to have that use tax.
May I object to just one statement here?
Sure.
During the terms of Chief Pass, we became known as a training department for our officers. New officers came from the academy and were recruited by other departments. That's a damn shame, and it seems like it has carried on to some degree.
That's true.
Okay, you want me to? Okay. You guys have these numbers in front of you. And since everybody out there may not have, We do have one patrol officer that's at $17.69 an hour. Now, he's not up as high as the others, was on part-time. So the full-time raises didn't kick in, but those will be adjusted. We have school resource officers that are currently making just under 19 and just over 20 an hour. We have a corporal who's off patrol, $19.66 an hour. We have probably the most underpaid person that I can think of for what they do is we have animal control that's not even up to 17 yet. So that's something we need to look at. We also have, like say, the chief, the assistant chief, but none of those numbers I read off are close to what people were saying on 16. We're not, I wish we could pay them 26, but we're not paying them 16. Now, with that being said, with their salaries, Steve put some numbers together, and I'm assuming he worked with the chief also
Yes, ma'am.
to get these. Looking at like a $2.31 bump across the board. Now, the initial numbers we have here do not include the top of the totem pole, the chief. That'll be up to everybody to discuss. But just the totals, when you figure you do an increase plus your benefits are about 30%. Okay, when you're estimating how much it's going to cost. So you have that amount plus you have a 30% cost of living, which I'm not sure if everybody is aware. It's a great benefit, but I agree when you're sitting down at the dinner table, you can't eat it. So I get it. But the employees get free health care, which is valued $600 and some, just under $700 a month that they get, that they don't have to pay premiums on. That's one thing we work hard to try to get the benefits and stuff up. But I understand they also have to have money to buy groceries and everything else. Now, the grand total on the proposed increases, if you look at the 17%, Steve, is that the 175?
Yeah, the benefits comes out to 175.
Okay, yeah. So our actual salary budget then for the increase, where's the increase amount on
That
this?
is 383.
That's for our current employees.
For the
Current employees, and if you go down to total salary for current and vacant with the increases, you're at 585.
Yeah. So we would, so what we're looking at, there is absolutely no way to sustain the increase with what we have in the budget for right now. With the revenues we have right now, we could not sustain it. Because we are looking at over 40,000 just in those increases. We don't have that money in the budget. Now, the problem is we had budgeted for a full staff. We don't have a full staff. So you would think you got a lot of money left in your budget because you're not fully staffed, but we've had to pay so much overtime that we probably will actually go over on our payroll budget because we're paying time and a half. There are some things that we can do, like say the use tax is a big one. We will also have to look at perhaps cutting other services.
Repeat that.
We may have to look at cutting another service. Because right now, there is not one thing we can do to bring in more money until we either cut services or get a use tax, which will be in April vote, so we wouldn't start collecting till October, correct?
October 1st.
So we wouldn't even see any of that use tax till October. Are we,
Can I ask one question just to kind of help?
Sure,
me
Joel.
understand? So the only income the city has is just off real estate? Is that accurate?
We do have sales tax too.
Okay, there is sales
Yeah,
tax.
we have sales tax
So
on
my,
products
the
sold in the
tax I
city.
collect at my shop, that money
Yes, sir.
plus real estate.
right, plus
Okay, so
we,
that whole fund is the city's budget money.
Well, not
We-
all
we
that
also
sales
get more.
tax.
we
You
all,
got the county and you've got,
So everybody
state.
gets a piece of the pie.
yeah, everybody gets
So
things.
the biggest income for the city is the real estate tax.
Correct.
Real estate and personal property.
real,
Okay.
Personal property.
What else?
well,
does the
actually, our
city-
sales
What
tax
else
is
is
higher.
funded through that? What else does the city use that money to do?
Well,
Because we have a street tax that pays streets.
right,
We have.
Well, it doesn't pay all the
it doesn't
streets.
pay all the streets. We also
Yeah.
get some federal
What
highway.
else is a big expense that comes out of it? Because in my mind, I'm just knowing what I pay, and I'm like, crap, there should be an assload of money floating around.
Like I said, the actual property tax doesn't cover half the police. We have,
You're telling me that every house, the personal property tax in the entire city of Carl Junction does not, by itself, cannot fund the police department?
Correct.
That's correct.
yep,
You realize only
Thank
half
you,
of that
State of
personal
Missouri.
property tax goes toward the general fund. The other half goes off our debt to pay off this facility.
and when the state starts throwing that Hancock Amendment argument at you, they just keep, do you realize
I don't know what that is.
it's a taxation without representation, but it makes no sense the way they apply it, because they say you can't have a windfall. Well, $1,750 is not a windfall when you've got millions in new housing. But what it did, like when a lot of you moved here or lived here, at one time, 93 cents or something like that is the approved levy? 93,
It was over
98?
$1, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was trying to think what the last, I think, for the general fund.
Yeah, it's 93.
And now we
93
get to
cents.
collect
44?
43, 44, did they drop it to? We're right around 44
So
cents.
the only income for the city is basically real estate tax.
You have real estate, now our
And a small
sales,
portion of sales tax.
the sales tax is actually, when you combine it all, brings in more than property tax. But that's how bad it is.
So,
We also have,
and all we have to fund is this building and pay the police department?
no,
And that's what I'm asking. Is there
No.
a lot of other things?
we also get like telephone franchise fees.
Are we gonna get money off this Cox cable, some money from that? Well, other than pay the sales tax? or-
No.
No.
You know, because the state says we can't.
Now, water and sewer fund themselves, though.
Okay.
You get your water bill.
Yeah.
Water and sewer fund themselves.
Okay, those are just part of the city, different.
Yeah, right.
Right,
So
but
the
you
only
know,
thing the city has is the real estate and the sales tax and some other little bumps here and there.
right. Now,
And that's not enough to fund, and we're in this predicament with the police department.
what
I
are you
would
gonna,
think
what are you
just-
gonna do for everything else?
I would think there'd be an assload of millions of dollars floating around.
The problem is there's not millions.
What are you gonna
Apparently
do?
not, but I thought there would be.
Right, but there's not, because you still have sidewalks and you have to pay the people in here and you have to take care of this building and you have to take care of the PD and the court
Very,
and all, I mean, it adds up to, I mean, trust me, it's the biggest headache. I dread it for 3 months going into budget cycle, and then I stress about it and don't sleep for 6 weeks.
very little of the administrative stuff comes out of general fund. That comes out of sewer and water, you know, where like I spend the majority of my time is dealing with public works and dealing with sewer and water and stormwater and that type of thing. That's where mine gets funded from, and that's the way it is with all the administrative stuff. It's split up between.
You're talking about like the girls that work the desk.
Yes, like a portion of their
Is this the
salaries.
court? You said we have to fund the court. Does it not kind of fund itself by the fines you have to pay, blah, 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 blah?
Yeah.
No,
We will bring in about,
no,
we'll bring in about $40,000 in fines this year. And you have to pay a judge and pay a prosecutor and pay a court clerk and pay bailiffs to work the day of the court.
Well, then, before I came in here, if I saw a use tax on my vote deal, I voted no. But if it's just off of what you buy off of the internet, it's
Yeah.
what, 3 or 4 cents, fine, so be it.
That's all it is.
But I'm
People
gonna
think
tell you
it's a
right
property
now,
tax.
like the guy said earlier, people are taxed to death. So my fear is if it where are we at?
Well,
I mean, how do we, is somebody working on a different street for, this didn't pass, now what are we gonna do? Or are we just gonna ride this pony until we see?
I'm trying to get some businesses to town.
Not
I'm
gonna
trying
happen.
to get some businesses and
Not
collect
gonna
that
happen. You
sales
don't have
tax.
the space for it.
So correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys have mentioned the Hancock rule many times. That levy is based, the funding goes down, the larger your community gets, correct?
Yes.
So that's direct growth funding. So what that states is, the state is looking at this going, the larger you get, you should be sustainable. And there shouldn't, if they're trying to cut that levy down, then why should we be giving you more if your basis keeps going up? Again, it's a tax on the back of property tax, personal property tax. And again, going to, we need to be, it seems like a lot of energy needs to go to business development.
okay,
Where we are in 2024, we are way behind the 8 ball. It sounds like she's doing everything she can do, but there should have been planning 10
okay.
years ago.
What we're looking at, if we want to do anything immediately, we have to cut service.
What services, that's what what services, what, I don't know.
We're gonna have to consider, do we cut back certain departments? Do we cut back certain hours?
You're talking about payroll, services is payroll, or
Well,
money for staffing.
If you don't have staffing, you don't have service.
Yeah.
They go.
When you say service, I'm thinking like
Now,
pickleball or.
well, at this point, that's stuff we're gonna have to discuss. Right now, we need to see what the immediate needs of the PD are, which,
Because another problem is discount liquor is probably gonna knock some of these other gas stations out. Now, the sales tax will probably stay the same because of business.
I think it'll stay the same or it'll go up. I think they'll try in some people that the others didn't. Hopefully,
Well, the gas taxes,
gas tax.
the gas taxes by population.
They
No matter how much gas we sell in Carl Junction, doesn't make any bit of difference at all. What they do is the state collects all that gas tax and they give it back to all the people by population,
based on your census.
based on your census, not where you pay it.
See, there's a whole bunch of things people don't get. So if everybody shops local, whether it's, eating at Christina's or
Yep.
going to discount or taking care of you when you do your part sales, Joel, that's what it takes. Because, and when I say, we're gonna have to look at it and see how much money. Because even if we said tonight, you have raises, we don't have anybody to hire and we can't clone them. So we're still gonna have times, that's why I asked the chief today about kind of how he figured out scheduling and how much. I don't like it either to have one person on. And I've lived in the same house over not too far from where your place is, Joel, for 35 years. I see what's happening. 2 of the biggest fentanyl busts in this county happened in Carl Junction this year. Trafficking 132 grams, 2 people. So yes, it is. And I know people, you've got one side that says we've got to panic, our hair is on fire, all of this because we see. Then you've got the other that are like, why should we pay anymore? This is a safe, quiet town. Well, it's a safe, quiet town because you have PD. It works often.
So is somebody on this other road trying to figure out what's gonna happen if the sales tax or use tax or whatever doesn't pass?
That's one
Is
thing.
there somebody working over here trying to,
Yeah, we're
we're
going with the budget right now.
Yeah, we are.
And we are not putting a use tax collection in the budget because we don't have one.
We don't know.
and we have funds to hire police officers. It's just we don't pay enough, so they're not coming here. Is that where we're at right now?
Basically,
Basically, but then again, you
because if
have.
you hire some more, then our overtime will go down.
If it's a balancing budget, if we can get applicants. Now, I know we have to give the chief a starting amount so he can.
Well, the numbers you read off, my loot techs are making more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna get you much,
What is the difference between here and Joplin? Why does everybody want to go to Joplin?
They pay.
But they don't really.
Well,
They don't
part of the
search
reason, and Mark can correct me if I'm wrong.
They do pay for your school.
They pay for your schooling. Plus, if you are a young officer coming out of the academy, you want to see more action. You kind of got the adrenaline. I've got a nephew that's going through it right now. It's a faster pace. There's more to do. There's more calls. There's more action. trouble is, like I say, if you don't have officers, then we're gonna end up.
Then we're gonna have the action.
We're gonna end up
It
missing.
is, it's close.
But I think
Yeah.
it is a very big deal that the academy gets paid for. And like Steve said, it's about $10,000. If you go through the academy yourself, a lot of the places like Joplin, after you've been there a certain amount of time, give you that money back.
A couple of
They give you a bonus if you've paid for it yourself.
a couple of things here recently. We had a candidate out of the academy that wanted to come over here. The academy failed to do a background check on this individual. So when we looked at him, we did a background check on him. Failed. We've even put, we advertised, yes, and I put one on Indeed, an online search, and we got 10 hits in the past week on that. Of those 10 hits, only 2 of them were Missouri Post certified that were current police officers. Everybody else would have to go through the academy, or one of them was a truck driver from Maryland. So who knows how come we got that resume, but we did. So that pool is a lot smaller, like I talked before. But we do have to do something for the pool that we already have.
Yeah, because if you lose some of the ones we have already, we're in bigger trouble.
Yeah.
But and I hope the chief knows, I support that department. I talk to him several times a month, several times a week. I understand. I'm big on officer safety. I've said all along I said when we needed new radios. But if you don't have, if we right now give the raises we know we need to, then we're definitely going to have to watch overtime. We can't pay more and pay overtime. And if you don't have enough officers, you're going to have to work overtime. But also, 2 of our officers are school resource officers. And to me, it is very, very important. And I know they're having to pull some double duty and they're having to call when there's emergency calls. That concerns me. We got to fully staff. Because you got over 3,000 people on those campuses at any given time that are soft target. So we've got to find a way to get them. And we either need these tax or we need to look at cuts to make it sustainable. Or maybe, I don't know if the chief has thought about temporarily until we get more people in, is to limit response to non-emergency when they're only on by themselves or something.
We're in the middle of the budget process for this year right now. We had our first meeting last Wednesday. We're going to be having more every Wednesday at 4:15. You're all welcome to come here and see what the budget's like. And we'll be going through that. I guess we're going over
Streets and parks.
Streets and parks tomorrow. And then what's the next Wednesday?
Water and sewer.
Water and sewer the next Wednesday, and the week after that's police. And then we'll have a final one going over all the departments, all the revenues versus all the expenses everybody wants to have, and see what we have to cut. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of cities that have the similar situation we have in this country. There's a lot of cities. Have we had some search or looking around, see what they do to make things work better? Because I'm sure this problem is not only Scar Junction problem. I'm sure somebody out there had these problems, came up with a solution. There's something we can look at, what we call benchmark. Oh, this town did this, it worked for them. You can propose it, do the fix. Have that any things like that been done?
There
And
are,
then the chief. I don't know about what.
Well, here it is.
I just look at local agencies, I mean, you can talk about other cities the same size or cities the same budget, but ultimately it comes down to the surrounding agencies that are poaching our officers and the ones we're competing with that's graduating from MSSU or Pitt State or whatever. So that's what I'm looking at. Very few people just graduate the academy and move out of state somewhere.
And the other point is, look like there's a lot of handcuffs from the state. There's something can be like pushed back, or like, hey, we have this problem, you guys are, there's something you can lobby with our representative, like, what is, there's
Well,
something out there?
You have the biggest supporter of law enforcement right now as a representative, and that's Lane Roberts. You know, out of Joplin. He's not one of our reps, but he absolutely will listen to any of that stuff, especially when it comes to officers. He's very good about that type of thing. Over the past, when was Ferguson?
I don't know, we were there right after.
2013 or something like that?
Yeah.
Ever since the riots in Ferguson in 13, it seems to me that the legislature has been anti-municipal government. And that has bled over into the court system with the huge changes that we had to do in that with show me courts, to funding mechanisms like there is no tax on internet
Streaming
services, you know, and so it seems that they've done a really good job at handcuffing municipalities.
Now, in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, some of us will be going out for the legislative conference at Jeff City. And we went last year and spent probably an hour with Senator Smith, probably, going over the problems with the way they let us levy and the Hancock and overreaching. And she was not aware of it either. She's a new senator. But when you talk to a lot of the others, they seem to think it's okay, and you just, you know. In fact, I had somebody tell me that it's not, when they were talking about use tax, I had a senator tell me to my face that it wasn't their fault that the state had better attorneys than cities do. So we get hit with all of the DNR stuff, we get hit with all of the regulated just to death. I do know, talking about other agency, there are some people that have to go outside and contract for services, like through their counties or whatever. That's not even an option here to get that much help, really, because they've got 28 deputies, or 28 patrol officers, Jasper County does. So he doesn't have extra. They will provide mutual aid in an emergency, but it's not like we can hire them to come in and work shifts.
I've never called 911, so I don't know, is our dispatch handled locally, or is it?
It goes to Jasco first,
Okay.
and you tell them everything, and then they turn around and forward it to Carl Junction, and you tell them everything. So it all goes to, because fire goes through Jasco. So when you call 911 here, it all goes to Jasco, and then they send it.
So with that, is that an option to cut out that middleman possibly? I don't know anything about.
It is free
Just that.
for Jasco to spend.
That's one of the things we're looking at, that quick fix if the use tax doesn't pass, and maybe even before then, in order to keep the officers we have and try to entice officers, is to transfer our dispatch to Jasco. And we would maintain a couple of police clerks that would be during business hours. And that would save enough money to temporarily fix the problem. It's not a long-term fix as well as what the use tax would be, but it's a temporary patch to try to mend some salaries and be able to offer more to applicants.
What's the downside of not having a dispatch respond fiber.
No, it'd be more of, services to citizens. You know, right now we're manned 24/7 at the front desk. They can come into the lobby anytime. If we did that on off hours, there would be a phone in the lobby. That if somebody did want to come in, they'd pick up the phone. It'd be called to Jasco, and then Jasco would get a hold of whichever officer's on duty and transfer the call to them.
It would actually cut down the time you could wait for dispatch, because one party would pick it up and dispatch you instead of transfer.
Sounds like an increase in officer safety with less latency back and forth. So it sounds like a very viable option.
Which that would be sustainable for what we're talking about with salaries. Now, that's not going to get extra money in the budget every time when we need vehicles or we need to replace body cams like we do this year. We still need that other revenue.
Is there no, we get grants for parts and shit all the time. Is there no grants for, or whatever that,
Yep.
all that stuff?
We get them.
Mark gets everything.
So we shouldn't have to fund it if it's,
You get like what,
grants or
one,
whatever.
you get one body cam a year? Is that
It
right?
just depends on what I apply for with the LEST grant. This year I'm applying for a whole new system, which is, started out as $31,000. I go to that meeting in a couple of weeks to see, I don't expect it to be fully funded by LEST because of the amount that all the agencies are applying for. I'm hoping to get enough to where the city can scrape together enough to go ahead and purchase that system. Our school resource officers are working the streets every day when they get called out, and body cameras are failing every day just because it's electronics. They go bad, and the heat, the cold, the fights, whatever, it goes bad even quicker.
Steve, I've got a question. So what if one of the officers could get health insurance through a spouse? Could we pay them that we currently pay for their insurance as part of their salary?
If that spouse does not have health insurance available to them through their employer, if they're employed.
I mean, if the officer could get on the spouse's insurance and not need insurance through us.
Yeah, they can drop off of ours if they want to. That's
And
their.
then can we pay them that difference?
That's their choice.
Can we pay them that? That's $700 a month?
That's up to you guys. Yeah, if you guys
I mean,
want
I
to
don't know
prove that,
if
yeah.
that would be
If
a
they don't
situation
want to,
that
you know, we've got some officers that don't, but
If that's given as an option to the officers, you can be on our insurance or you can be on spouse's insurance, and it's potentially more pay
we,
towards the officer.
the rules on health insurance is that
if it's available.
you have to offer it to all of them. Now, if there's not 100% participation, it absolutely could affect the rates. But yes, that is, you know, because we pay for a lot of spouses, a lot of family, you know, which is, you know, we only pay 80% of that. They have to pick up the
I
rest.
wouldn't say only, that's a huge benefit.
It sure is. It's a huge benefit.
Yes.
Just so
You know,
everyone's
private
aware.
industry
Yeah.
doesn't do anything close to that.
We pay 100% of the employee and then 80% of the spouse and family for insurance.
But what you were saying is the potential that insurance pool shrinks, therefore the provider would
Could
increase.
go up.
Right.
Yeah.
There-
It's a balance too.
And when you look at, if you gave those people, you know, like the employees, give them that extra money, like say if anything would happen and they would lose another coverage or something, they're not gonna find the coverage for what?
The spouse's insurance is going to require them to take your insurance.
Yeah.
So that would be an option.
Same thing we do. If the spouse has it available from their work, they have to get theirs.
And if,
And if somebody tries to get on it, it's available to them on ours, they have to be on ours.
but Mark, do you have any update on the timeline on the licensing that you're working on?
Nope, it was supposed to be a 1 or 2 day deal. It's now going on 3 weeks. I do get an update email from him every once in a while that says, haven't forgot about you. Don't know what the holdup is, still waiting. So everything else is pretty close to being in place. We got the computers, we got the smartphones with the Wi-Fi hotspots. We got the agency agreement signed with Jasco. So that's basically, we're just waiting to get the licensing so that Jasco can install their CAD software on our laptops and then we'll be ready to go.
Because if you look at the total of the increases, and I understand that every year we'll have to sustain this because we'll have that extra cost of living on top of it. But just making those changes could could support salaries. If you want to do tuition reimbursement, some kind of program like that, that's going to take a use tax like that. Because we look at these numbers just going through.
If we do pay the tuition for that, I mean, can we have them sign some sort of agreement that they would stay for X amount of years after
Yeah.
that, or?
Yeah, I got a copy of a couple of different agreements, and they all range from 2 to 4 years, and that's what we would have to do. You know, they would work for us for 2 to 4 years.
This is basically an information meeting.
Yep.
And this stuff will be decided in the budget meeting. And I guess what's that? 3 weeks? 2 weeks?
Well, and that'll be the budget meeting for everything from May 1st forward. So if we need to do anything in the meantime, people will have to bring proposals if we have any other changes.
Yes.
February 14th should be the budget meeting.
February 14th, Valentine's Day.
So we can't get these raises through tonight? We have to wait for the budget?
Well, we have to wait till budget, or we have to wait until a situation changes that will allow us to fund these raises.
We can't fund these for the
No,
rest
what
of the
I need
cycle
to
with
do is bring you this was not a proposal. The numbers that I gave you were not a proposal. It was just, this would put us in the ballpark style numbers. If you want to do something, I would need to get with LaDonna and the city clerk, fine tooth the payroll budget for the PD and see what we could do in the meantime, which off the top of my head, I don't know if there's much there that we could do it with, but absolutely we'll look at.
Okay, so we're gonna have some money from dispatch.
If we move them, it'll be enough to do it. I
Yeah.
think.
Well, I'm just talking about from now until May 1st.
Yes, if we can move, once we get that agreement,
The software licensing.
the software licensing, we can move forward with that. Now, that will take a little bit of time because we'll have things that they need to do and that we'll need to do on our end to make that changeover. You know, it's not going to be instantaneous, but that could happen between now and May 1st.
You've got don't you have a lot of that already?
Yeah, I've been kind of anticipating it for a while, and part of it comes with just the first step of getting the mules NCIC access to the cars. We had to go through Jasco anyway, so this kind of goes hand in hand with it. So, like I said, I've already got the agency agreement signed between both of us. We've got the officer roster to them. They have our street mapping. They know what kind of computers we have, and they're just waiting on the software licenses to be able to download their CAD system onto ours. They've got our radio frequency, we're already on their consoles. So, I mean, if they get the licenses tomorrow, it could be this week.
So just, so we're clear that we're stopping our dispatch, going strictly to Jasco dispatch. This would fund us for how long? Till May? Is that what we're saying?
Well, it would,
So that's
what
what
we would say in
that
those
would-
2.5 positions would fund then from then on.
We don't know. I got to look at that number of what we've spent on dispatch and what's left in it if we would chop it off.
Yeah.
I don't know that number.
Okay,
Now, but what I'm saying is if you figure the cost of 2.5 positions there,
Yeah.
that will fund
That,
You know, you've got 3 months basically left in the budget cycle. You know, you're not gonna be saving a whole lot.
But you're
But we're
also
only-
only gonna be paying increases for
Yes.
3 months, which is less than what basically one position and
Yes.
benefits would be.
Absolutely.
Now, sorry.
but we're only saying the current officers that we have now, we're not gonna be able to, if somebody new pops up, we're not gonna have budget to hire anybody.
We should have.
We should have.
No,
this.
we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We still have five.
Yeah, because we've got 11 positions, I think, budgeted, so even if we did this kind of increase across the board, taking out 2.5 full-time positions would definitely cover that.
So I'm just,
Because overtime will go down.
right, I'm just looking at that as far as we have the vacant positions. To really, I mean, I've seen you guys, I have a camera at the church, and every time the alarm goes off, one guy goes in there. And that's a big ass church, excuse me, you know? And I've watched them. I can see it on the video, and it makes me nervous every time you guys walk in. I can't imagine a restaurant or anywhere else, but I don't ever want to see you guys in there by yourself. So I don't know how, I would love to, if we could do the math, whatever you got to figure out, and not have so many vacant positions, but maybe do away with a couple of vacancies and the need for them so we can maximize what we can get, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then I know you guys, nobody's like beating down the door to come work in Carl Junction, but if we can get the raises that we
That
need.
subject's been broached. We haven't delved deeply into it yet because you're taking away position, and that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But we have looked at it short term. If the use tax was to pass, it would be during that time period of just waiting for that to be implemented. And yes, you're right. We got 5 positions open. Chances of me filling 5 positions at this point in time is slim to none, and Slim's leaving town.
What do we think about, I'm just throwing this up here, about some sort of bonus for the guys now? We can give them a bonus, and then we can get these numbers solidified for the budget that starts May 1st.
But we're still gonna eliminate 2.5 positions to do this. That, I'm not understanding. Who will be at this police station?
Dispatch,
We would
Right,
have.
but if,
we
not
would have
patrol.
two-
right, but if you go to the police station,
We would have 2 police clerks that would work like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. each day.
On
And
weekdays.
then outside of those hours, there would be a phone available in the lobby that would
Right.
connect you. So there would be somebody there.
Right.
Right now, there's somebody there 24 hours a day.
Everything in the sun.
That would still allow people to get like accident reports or get their pet tags or file after incident reports. Because you would still have the whole day, like even if people work nights, they could come in earlier or, you know. But you would still have dispatch services, you just wouldn't have somebody sitting behind the little glass window.
right,
And that would, but like I said, Steve, we can put numbers together on what that 2.5 would do.
Yeah.
And maybe we can twist the arms of some soft. It's not Tyler Technologies.
No.
I have a question. If you don't have anybody inside the police station, you just have a phone, that's where I always take my shop with a cop check, give to the person at the desk. What will we do with it then?
There would still be a police
There'd be
clerk,
people there during the day.
5,
just not every
basically,
night.
Monday, we haven't got that totally worked out, but like 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, there's gonna be somebody there.
Okay.
Or 7 to 7, however we do it, 4 to 3 or any of that. We can figure that out.
sounds like we're in a mess.
What would we as a city right now consider, obviously we're in dire straits. What would we consider to be adequate numbers concerning where we're currently at right now?
We've budgeted for 11.
Okay.
Correct, 11.
But we're at 3,
6.
We're at 7 people total.
wrote down, talking about patrol, how many patrol we got?
Of that 11, you just have to pull out How many
Two
are?
school resource officers.
Two
and an
resource.
administrative Position.
Two.
Equal 4 out of that.
So you have 7. You should have 7 on patrol. And we have 3.
So, like I said, we're in a bad situation right now. We have 11 open possible seats to fill. And I believe you brought up, like, what would there be a temporary injunction of cutting 2 of those positions? Where would we be getting, although they're not filled right now?
Those aren't positions.
Would 9 be adequate?
Those aren't positions we're talking about cutting. That's dispatch.
No, I wasn't saying, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that we have 11 possible positions. Would not, if there was a possibility to fill those positions, would 9 be adequate to get things up and running? And then when the budget grows, then add 2 more positions.
Well, you'd have to talk to the chief about staffing, but I think right now he'd probably be tickled to death if he could get 2 more.
Yeah,
people.
that's,
Right now, we're cutting the 2.5 dispatcher positions would fund the 11 positions that are currently budgeted. If the use tax passed, we would budget for the extra officers that we should have, but haven't gotten based on the population.
And we can talk about something with the tuition. If the use tax passes, then we can approach that.
That's another hot button topic right there. I mean, you're talking about paying for somebody's academy. What about the officers that currently work here that paid their own way through the academy? You talk about bonuses. I know Jasper County just gave all employees $3,000 bonuses just for sticking around during the pandemic. Other agencies, I'm not sure which, but I've heard 1 or 2 other agencies have done the same thing. So there's things to consider. I mean, yeah, I'm all for paying for somebody's academy on a contract, but I'm also not demeaning to the fact that other officers have paid the 8 or 10 grand themselves too, and they're just working as is.
And we did longevity bonuses 3 years ago. Well, it was after COVID, right?
3 years ago.
Every 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
we did a big payout.
We did that payout in
3 years,
3 years ago.
3 years ago, because it was during everything with COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And that was one thing with the ARPA money that we got. You can't fund salaries with it. They won't let you do that. Thank you, feds.
We
But,
bought a car.
Yeah, we did buy a car and other expenses with it, so that it wouldn't have to come out of our budget.
Because that's something people have to keep in mind. If you say, well, we got this pot of money, so let's give everybody, you have to be able to sustain that then. Because then next year, you're paying that higher amount plus the cost of living. So like say if you get ARPA money or you get a grant, you don't add positions or increase payroll with grant money because that's gone. And then the next year you have to come up with the money.
You guys done? Well, if you are, then I would.
Can we explain the use tax?
Go ahead. It's basically, it's a tax on internet sales. That's
How
what
many
it
of you
is.
feel comfortable in explaining to somebody what this use tax is?
I feel like I do.
Because that's what we need. You all are the ones that are gonna have this thing passed. It's gotta be the citizens. You gotta talk to your neighbors. You gotta talk to your friends and your families. It's only on internet sales will this take place. But there's another square ball in the mix here. Jasper County is going after the same thing. They're gonna be asking for a use tax alongside ours. So we really need to work hard. See, because people are gonna look at it and say, there's 2 of them on here, I'm not voting for anything. We need ours passed. And it'll only come from ground roots. We'll put some signage out, talk to people, but
Not us.
not us, but have meetings to help. only on internet sales. That's the only time you're gonna get taxed. Nowhere else.
Buy on the internet, you're not gonna.
And if these people don't buy on the internet, they don't pay another dime.
That's right.
So you said that Jasper County's asking for the same thing, so if I buy something on the internet, if the use tax passes, then I'll pay tax to Carl Junction, and if the Jasper County one tax passes, then I'll pay the Carl Junction and the county tax?
Just like, if you went to Dollar General.
Yeah.
Yep, just like with the Dollar General, exactly.
Right now, the levy's what the state's, when you buy something online, it's like 4.3%.
Yeah, it's a state only right now.
And we pay, and ours is 3 cents.
But we got the other ones, don't we?
The price is 3.
Is that all three? Is that all the other ones
Because
too?
we've got general fund, capital improvement, street, parks and stormwater.
Transportation. Not fuel, transportation.
But it's just like, we're taxed in this town. I mean, it's become a 4-letter word. I mean, because mainly it comes down to how many times they've even turned down like new school taxes. It doesn't matter what it's taxes now. I mean, it automatically gets the county, the development that it comes. We're taxes for so. So it's a hard sell.
Stayed the same. Then how come county went up?
When is the next vote on that?
Because county has a different
Yeah.
setup.
I know, but it
April
seems
2nd.
like every time you turn around, county.
So these two taxes are two different yes and no's. They're not packages.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
Jasper wants this,
two separate.
Carl wants this. No here, yes here. I mean,
However you wish to vote. However you wish to exercise your voting privileges.
If you need something from Dollar General, we prefer you go to the one on Pinell and not the one on Fur Road.
That's,
'Cause
That's another
that one
problem.
goes to Airport Drive.
We
And if
have
you
a-
live in Ward 3, it's a lot shorter drive to go to that one.
or Ward 4 of it.
Or Ward
That's-
4.
That's my grandson.
Yes, that's where I go. It's farther for me, but that's where I go.
And that's part of the problem is we have a lot of citizens, especially that have moved here in the last few years, that do not know where the city boundaries are. They think the park is in Carl Junction.
And it's really, the way that the line is drawn is this side of Fur Road.
They annexed into the village.
What?
And.
Ready to go? Yeah, okay.
We got a minute.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Roger Spencer,
Oh,
second.
wait.
This rarely happens. This is half my department right here, these 3 officers. Feel free to ask, that's what they came for.
Thank you guys, we appreciate you.
Second
Two
by,
others wanted to be here.
second by Bill McGuire. All those in favor, please signify with your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, we are adjourned. And really, thank all of you for coming. We hardly ever have anybody here. Come every meeting if you would.
Come
We
tomorrow
really
at
appreciate your
4:15.
input.
Tomorrow